Welcome to Boston Bros Political Show. I'm Jim Campanini, co-host the show with Peter Lucas, Boston Herald opinion columnist. Peter, how are you today?
Terrific, Jim. Terrific.
Oh, great, great.
Spring is here.
You think so?
I think.
It's supposed to be up to 60 degrees today.
Well,
I don't know. But yeah, things are heating up. Things are not only heating up with the weather, Peter, but they're also heating up on the political scene. But before we get into some good issues, okay, I got to give this a little announcement. This InsideLowell podcast is coming to you from the WellPoint Studios. WellPoint, the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. But, you know, I read that pretty well. These new glasses, really working out. So, Peter, a lot has gone on since our last show last week. But you know what? I was thinking about joining that women's march yesterday. It was International Women's Day yesterday.
Yeah, they marched.
You know, but the issues just didn't line up with what I believe in. I mean, what do you think?
Well, they marched at the State House, and then they marched at one of Elon Musk's Tesla Tesla's, what do you call it?
Yeah, it's Tesla company, dealerships.
It's a dealership, and it seemed to me they're protesting the wrong things.
Well, that's my point. The issues, if they were going to talk about protecting women in sports, you know, women's opportunities and stuff, but it didn't seem like that was part of the march. It was to go after Elon Musk. And most of these people are liberal environmentalists, and there's a Tesla's. This guy is a genius to create a Tesla that's going to...
Forget Musk for a moment. You would think they would be concerned with men in women's sports, which is a big issue these days. And, you know, 80% of the public is against having men in women's sports. But you wouldn't know it from our Massachusetts delegation to Congress. Every member of Congress from Massachusetts, including the 2 senators and 9 representatives, have voted against banning women, banning men in women's sports.
Yeah. And that's very disappointing because not even one has the courage to stand up. And even Seth Moulton, the congressman, you know, from Salem, Tewksbury, covers Tewksbury too, he represents Tewksbury. I mean, at first he stood up against it. Then he took some criticism. He talked about his 2 girls, you know, being in sports. He didn't want men running them down on the field. And then he seems to have backed off, you know?
Look at it this way. The governor campaigns frequently. When she campaigns, she mentions her years at Harvard as a basketball player. She played women's basketball at Harvard, and even though she's only about 5 foot 4 inches tall, she was a star. However, she never would have gotten to Harvard on a sports scholarship if she played against men in high school. So it's kind of ironic that she is against banning men in women's sports.
But what is the real reason? Is it just to be contrarian or opposite the Republicans? I mean, they're losing on this issue. Even Democrat pollsters are saying, hey, you're getting slaughtered on this issue, but they're not backing off.
They will not let go. It is amazing. It's like a cult belief. They will not let go, even though the majority of people in the country, the vast majority of people in the country, are for banning men in women's sports. It's common sense. I think the party has lost its sense of common sense.
I saw a story from the Washington Post. No, it was the Chicago Tribune about Rahm Emanuel, former President Obama's chief of staff, saying, you know, the Democrats are losing on a lot of these issues, but he says they should be more concerned about what's taking place in the classroom than in the bathroom. He says, quit it, stop it right now.
Well,
he says, move on. But yet, even Democrats aren't listening to some of the people that they formerly respected in these regards.
I don't know what they're demonstrating for. I'm standing outside the State House and I'm watching these women, and I covered the State House for many years. Right now, there are no men left in the State House. The governor's a woman, the lieutenant governor's a woman, attorney general's a governor, the treasurer's a woman, the auditor's a woman. The only man that left is Billy Galvin, the Secretary of State, and he's been there forever, and liable to be there forever more too. But and the Senate President is a woman. The only man left is the Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano.
Well, it's amazing. I tell you, it's nice to be, have solidarity and stuff. But when everybody just thinks the same, and no one is sticking up for women in sports, when Title IX and all the fight that a lot of pioneering women, through the years had to fight and claw to get these protections for women. And now it seems like they're happy to just roll the ball back. I mean, for less than, I don't know, the grief isn't worth it. And I don't know if in Massachusetts, they're insulated because nothing's going to happen. No one's going to do anything about it. But across the United States, they're not winning any people over to their side where it matters, especially in the swing states, as we saw in this past election.
No, it's a losing issue for the Democrats, and it's beyond me why they stick with it. Beyond me.
Yeah.
Even California Governor Gavin Newsom has switched his position on the issue.
Something? Yeah.
And now he's questioning men and women's sports as he tries to get close to the center from the left field position that he's been in all these years.
Well, could he play left field like 𝗧𝗵𝗲?
I don't think so.
Okay, but and that was a remarkable. So
I will be happy till the Red Sox draft a woman for left field.
Well, it might be coming. You never know.
Why not? If you believe in this stuff, you got to go.
Hey, I got my Caitlin Clark T-shirt on. I tell you, and maybe Caitlin can do it. If she wanted to. But going back to Gavin, where was he positioning himself for? Is he? You think he's going to make a run for the presidency in 2028? He's starting a podcast.
Well, he started that podcast to compete with us. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, he's not as good as us, but I can see people already moving. I think Kamala is going further down the list, and some people are they're all jockeying for position. It's going to be very interesting. But going back to the women's issue, let's talk about the governor. What do you think her week was like? Governor Maura Healey in Massachusetts.
I think she's had a pretty good week politically because, a week ago, New York Times did a tremendous puff piece on her. And then she was on Seth Meyers' national television show.
You get up at 12:35 a.m.?
No, but I watched the rerun. Yeah. And she's talking like she's a leader in the Democratic Party these days. Maybe she is. There's nobody else out there.
Yeah. She had I saw she had a nice doc pantsuit on. She looked very nice. A little 𝗧𝗵𝗲-ish, with that black. I don't know if black. Now that's what my TV showed me. It was, it's a color TV and stuff. Maybe it was dark green or something. But what is it with black? Everybody's wearing black nowadays. Are they following 𝗧𝗵𝗲's fashion? Or Trump doesn't wear black. I mean, I like the nice blue suit with the red tie, the white shirt.
Well, look, it worked for 𝗧𝗵𝗲 for a long time until he went to the White House to meet with Trump. Well, that didn't go over too good.
No, but my point is, do you ever see women? I mean, I've never seen anybody in our congressional delegation among the women who wear red, white, and blue. I've never seen them wear that. I don't know. It's always these dark shades and colors. I don't know. Maybe black is the color of the Democratic Party.
Well, these are dark times for the Democrat Party. So maybe that's it.
Okay, going back to the governor, though. Come on. According to you, she's had a good week nationally. She got a lot of exposure. But here, back at home, come on. The Department of Revenue comes out. They want to put a sales tax charge now on cable converter boxes. It would affect Comcast, which just raised their rates to subscribers up to $30 a month. And now they want to put a tax on cable boxes. I mean, I stream, I got Wi-Fi, but I feel about a lot of people older who don't really understand streaming. This is another attack on middle to low income people. And look at these: the medical, the prescription tax, the raising the excise tax. I mean, when does it end? The candy tax. When does it stop, Peter?
It stops when we stop paying billions of dollars to take care of immigrants from around the world who have come to Massachusetts because it's a great place to be an illegal immigrant, considering all the benefits that go along with coming to Massachusetts.
Well, why aren't there's 200 legislators, state legislators, okay? 140 in the House, 60 in the Senate. Am I correct? I studied.
Yeah, but they're all Democrats.
Yeah, but still, they got to be hearing the price gouging and everything else that's going on. I mean, look at the energy bills that people have had to pay the last month or two, and now Governor Healey makes a big show in Lowell that she's going to give. She was in Lowell yesterday and say, "Oh, we're going to give you a $50 rebate." Some people had bills. $700, $800, $900
Amazing.
for January and
Amazing.
December. $50, that barely covers for your eggs and bacon for the month. I mean that's crazy.
Well, it seems like it's out of control, but don't forget, there's a lot of things that are out of control these days.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, whether it's Democrats still live, in those communities that they serve.
Maybe the Republicans got to be like the dissidents in the Serbian parliament. I don't know if you saw the story, how they're throwing rockets and stink bombs and eggs at one another, trying to get attention. Maybe that's what we need in our legislature.
Wow. I'd hold back on the eggs, but with the price of the eggs
that's
they
true.
keep over there. But let's go back to the governor now. Isn't she taking a page out of Donald Trump's playbook with these MBTA communities? She's now holding back funding for these communities that have not moved into compliance with the MBTA communities law. There's 177 communities affected. I think 120 have signed on with the state. But there's 57 holdouts. In this past week, she withheld funding from, I think it was Middleborough was one, but the one that got me was, what's the other community there where they're doing the dredging project? She held up, Marshfield. She held up a $251,000 grant to dredge the river there. That was approved by the legislature in 2021.
Well, just the way Donald Trump is withholding funds from Columbia University, so the governor's doing the same thing, although she's criticizing the president for doing what she's doing.
Yes. Well, it's Trump gets a lot of criticism for what they call his heavy-handed approach, where I don't think it's heavy-handed. I think it's practical. But here's the governor who criticizes the president for everything that he's doing. The possibility of him even holding back some of the $15 to $16 billion in federal funding that is due to the state of Massachusetts. But yet, to get these communities to comply with the law without any feedback, she's putting the hammer down, Healey's hammer.
Yes, she's doing it, and so far she's been successful. I got to say that.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are filing lawsuits now. I guess there's another. Waltham has filed a lawsuit, and there's 57 other communities now. Some of them might join in, but it just seems odd to me that a lot of these communities they don't see any influence in their communities from the MBTA, and yet they have to join in. It was done by the legislature. They put all these communities in there
Under Governor Charlie Baker, by the way.
Charlie Baker. So, is this a winning play for Governor Healey?
No, I don't think so. But don't forget, there's very little opposition. I look at it this way: governors like Maura Healey should be thanking President Donald Trump because he's en route to solving many of their problems. When he shut down the border, shut down illegal immigrants, thousands of them coming into the country, he's done governors like Maura Healey a big favor because they're no longer sleeping at Logan Airport. They're no longer invading the country, no longer upping the costs in our budget to take care of them. Yet you'll never find anyone giving Trump credit for that or anything around here.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the MBTA Communities Act is basically a good law. It's to provide a lot of funding for affordable housing, to build affordable housing near these areas that have, a commuter rail, and it will help economically, and also to raise our housing stock, but to also end the road congestion and, like they say, take out some all the I guess fossil fuels from having less cars on the road.
But not to dwell on the immigration problem, but a lot of people in these communities believe, rightly or wrongly, that this housing that they want to build for low, moderate income people is going to go to illegal immigrants.
Yeah. And I think that's the fear. So I would say that the governor should focus more on educating the people about the positives of this bill. Not that they haven't already tried already, but she has to refocus that and say this is what we have to do. And she has to get an alliance with some of these local groups and say, hey, this is why we passed this bill, and it's the future of Massachusetts.
But she's not been able to sell it. What they need is like some sort of public relations program to explain to people who is going to be living in these houses. It won't be immigrants coming from Venezuela or any place else. That's what she's got to make clear.
Well, maybe she should hire, this is a great segue, maybe Governor Healey should hire the same PR firm that had Mayor Wu, that prepared Mayor Wu for her appointment meeting testimony before Congress last week, because the word is that the Wu administration paid $650,000 to a PR firm to prepare her for her appearance before this committee that was supposedly ravenous to get her over, the immigration issue. How do you think she factored in that appearance?
I think she performed very well. I can't believe that they spent $650,000 to prep her for that committee hearing. But basically, she's a very articulate and strong young woman. And but maybe they did because the props were in her favor. In other words, she came with her baby, her month-old baby, and had members cooing over the baby. And she testified how she loves America, how she's the daughter of immigrants from Taiwan, and she waved the flag. Said,
but come on, Peter, you're missing the obvious, Peter. The biggest.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Prop.
I'm getting there.
Right.
I'm getting there. She said she loved the country, and then she appeared with a Ash Wednesday cross on her forehead, which mesmerized everybody. The television,
you couldn't help but focus on Michelle Wu's forehead.
You couldn't. Gone is the old smudge that they used to get on Ash Wednesday. This was a cross, and it just mesmerized the committee, the audience, and everybody watching on television.
Well, I'd like to know who was the Catholic priest who put that cross on her forehead, because I'm a practicing Catholic, and I have the ashes put on my forehead in the past. This year I did not, unfortunately, but Father Sanella, who has done it at the Immaculate Conception Church in Lowell, every year that I've been up here, I was away, but he gives you the little smudge. You can't even tell it's a cross. That was designer cross.
That was painted on.
It was a designer cross, and sure enough, I'm just wondering. Hey, it's a religious issue. Let's leave it at that. But I went on the internet to look at other Ash Wednesdays, and I couldn't find a photograph of Michelle Wu on another Ash Wednesday in the past when maybe she wasn't covered, maybe it wasn't a public event, and but I couldn't find any other photos of her with a Christian cross on her forehead. So but I could be wrong, but if someone out there finds a photo, send it to me.
You're not implying that one of these PR people put it on.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I tell you, if that's what she got her for $650,000, maybe it would have been better to do a contribution to the Catholic Charities Appeal or something. But it worked, and God
It
bless her.
worked. The committee didn't like a governor.
But you know what? She did a good job.
Yeah.
She did, and if people who watched our last show, I think you said the same thing. Just talk from the heart. Talk about freedom in Boston and what it means, and that's what she did. So that's a new version of Kung Wu fighting, okay? And she did a good job. So plaudits to her. And another thing, what's going on? Another strong woman who's been in the spotlight. I mean, �𝗓𝗪 𝗕𝗏𝗪. She's ramping up. The Senate's ramping up. Everybody seems to be going at each other. This brawl over transparency and auditing the legislature. It seems every week this is staying on the burner here. Is there going to be a resolution with this? Now there's lawsuits, and I think there was a lawsuit filed over this.
Back when it became an issue during the last campaign, it was on the ballot. 72% of the voters for granting 𝗧𝗪𝗹𝗹𝗪, the auditor, the power to audit the legislature. Since then, it's been a major problem on Beacon Hill, with the legislature opposing it and 𝗧𝗪𝗹𝗪 fighting to get the audit going. She's practically alone at the State House on the issue. The legislature is against it, and the leadership in the legislature, I must say. The Attorney General has been useless in helping her get to the issue, get it before the court. The governor's not in favor of it. The lieutenant governor has disappeared, and the auditor is all alone. I have to hand it to her. She's a very gutsy person. And it wouldn't surprise me too much if this becomes a gubernatorial issue in the next campaign, or if she's a candidate.
Yeah, I think because the longer that she persists, and this stays before the public, it builds suspicion. What is the legislature trying to hide? Even if there is nothing there. Okay, but the longer it goes without a resolution, it just says, hey, the resistance from the legislature, what's in their secret drawers?
Well, the issue, as far as they're concerned, it's about the separation of powers, the executive branch, the judiciary, and the legislature. And she's imposing on their turf. But the voters voted for it and voted for her. And it's still an issue. It should have been settled a long time ago after the public approved it, but here we are, we're still at it.
Yeah. Do we need a commission now? Do we have to set up a commission as to what she can do in an audit?
I think it's going to end up before the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, it gives her an issue in the event, as she's been accused of, using it as a campaign issue in the next election. Right now, it looks like the governor is, in a strong position to get reelected. She's announced that she's running again. However, if she gets a challenge from the left, and another candidate like 𝗧𝗪𝗹𝗪𝗪 runs as a moderate, who knows what can happen in a primary?
Well, here's another thing. If there were to be, if we were to take a poll today about the most popular, I'll just say the most popular politician in the state, would 𝗧𝗪𝗹𝗪𝗪 be in the top three?
Oh, absolutely. I don't see...
Maura Healey, probably Elizabeth Warren. Would she be up there?
Pocahontas?
Yes.
Oh,
Would she be up there?
I mean, that's what the president called her.
Yeah.
So I say, but...
in your mind, who would be the top three Massachusetts politicians? And when I say popular, that people know of, and it doesn't mean to be favorite, but
I would say
is
the governor.
DeZoglio getting a lot of exposure because of this issue?
Absolutely. I would say 𝗧𝗵𝗲 would be on the top and with the governor. She gets as much publicity as the governor does, perhaps more.
Yeah.
And she's got a burning issue. She's the only one around with an issue that people can relate to. And they voted for it. 72% of the people voted for it. Whether you like it or not, the people voted for it.
Yeah.
And the people are being ignored.
You know, in years past, we always had, a strong congressional delegation, especially when, John Kerry and Ted Kennedy were in the, a part of the team and stuff. They ran the show, and you could always rely on, at least they had national exposure. I mean, of the group we have today, certainly Elizabeth Warren has national exposure, but it's not necessarily good the way that she's felt across the country. Certainly blue states approval, but it seems like her ranking is really going downhill. I mean, even among Democrats, she's not even counted upon as a presidential candidate. When in past cycles, she was always on the fringe, but she was talked about. They don't even talk about her anymore.
What amazes me is we have no one in the delegation, either in the House or the U.S. Senate, who has any relations at all with the Trump administration. We've got nobody who can talk to the president. Meanwhile, Trump is bent on cutting funds to communities and states and cities that don't go along with his executive orders on immigration or whatever. And we've got nobody to talk to the president. Take the 2 Cape Cod bridges and the billions of dollars that we expect the federal government to come up with to rebuild the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 and the Bourne Bridge. I'd be amazed if that happens under Trump. And there's no one to go to the president to make the case for the state. The governor can't, none of the 2 senators can't, and none of the members of the congregation. Instead, all they do is sit back and criticize Trump. And I don't think it's going to get you anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I know, you read some of these stories from around the country, and Trump is trying to get more U.S. manufacturers who have moved overseas now to come back. And I think that's the argument behind his tariff plan, to get some of these companies to think twice to come back. And I saw that, we talked in the past about the leading chip maker in Taiwan is now building 5 facilities, investing almost $500 billion in Texas, building 5 plants to make chips here. Massachusetts used to be able to attract some of these companies, but I haven't heard of any home runs recently. You think that with all this AI, I know we have small venture people, in companies investing because we have the colleges around here, but it seems like we've lost some of that energy, that impetus, that we're not attracting the kind of businesses and companies that we used to. Now, I could be wrong.
Well, in fact, we're losing them to Texas, and entrepreneurs are moving to Florida and to Texas, much because of the high taxes in the state. And no, we had no big hitters come to Massachusetts recently. No.
So it's just, it's kind of alarming when you think that we've got a housing crisis, we've got a transportation crisis, we've got a bridge crisis, and we've got all these crises across the, and we're focused on what's going on in the bathrooms in our schools and protesting Tesla dealerships. I just it's hard for me to wrap my arms around it sometimes.
Well, if you can't solve the little problems, you're never going to solve the big problems.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave it at that. So, one of the stories during the week that really brought a tear to my eye was this story that the former first son might be facing bankruptcy. That's Hunter Biden. Now, we to believe this sob story that Hunter Biden went to a federal judge in California and asked them to dismiss his lawsuit that he filed against a former Trump aide because he says the aide released all his information from the laptop from hell. All those pictures and emails that showed Hunter, when he was on drugs and taking money from Burisma and other foreign nationals and stuff. So are we to believe this? Hunter's financial resources have dried up, and he says he can no longer fund this lawsuit.
I think Hunter Biden should run for governor of California.
That's a good one.
Gavin Newsom is term limited. He can't run again. And his opponent will be Kamala Harris, probably. So that would be a terrific contest.
Well, where was the...
His father could campaign for him.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a great one, huh? But maybe Jill will do it. But isn't it interesting how all this stuff that the media ignored during the Biden presidency, now all this stuff is coming out, and no one's taking responsibility or accountability for it. I mean, he put in his filing to the judge that he sold 27 paintings at an average price of $54,000 when his father was in the White House.
Right.
Okay. Now he's only sold once, and he had to take it for a price of like $26,000.
Right. Now he's painting houses.
Now he's painting houses. But so he says his book sales, he wrote a book, his memoir, A Beautiful Thing. Okay. So the book sales have fallen off. And he thought that he would have a lot of speaking engagements when, in the future, and that would be one of his primary income opportunities. Well, he's received exactly 0 opportunities. So it's like, the first son, he was only getting, it's true, he was only getting a lot of this stuff because he was Joe Biden's son, right? He's never done anything on his own.
That's true. However, he's in Hollywood now, and maybe he can take up acting.
Oh, he could probably do a nice job with on a Netflix show or something, a reality show. I don't know how Hunter Biden went from Burisma's CEO or whatever to bankrupt in Hollywood or something. He could do a reality show like that. But he did tell the judge that he lost the house that he was renting in the Palisades fire, and with that he lost a lot of his art that he'd been working on. I don't know. Does he paint with his hands or his feet?
You don't know what he paints with, but he's probably that lost art is probably a great. Be a great move for civilization. That means, we're not going to bemoan the loss of those paintings, I'm sure.
Well, where are all Joe Biden's friends to come to the rescue?
They're gone. They're ex-friends. When you're out, you're out. And particularly in his case. He is so far out that...
you think Kamala would lend a guy a hand, being out in California together or something. So, I don't know. So, Peter... the other thing, when I was editor of The Sun a long time ago, we always used to run these, the weekly update from the State House News Service, the votes down in Beacon Hill and everything. And, I used to scoff at a lot of these things because they're all procedural votes and no one ever shows up. Now, they're still... From what I understand, the Senate is still holding a lot of their votes by Zoom. They're still not letting, saying that the senators have to go into the building physically and vote, which is ridiculous. 3 years after COVID, and they're still allowing them to vote by Zoom. This is ridiculous. But with all the crises going on in the state, here's what I had in the State House News Service. During the week of March 3 through 7, the House met for a total of 12 minutes, while the Senate met for a total of 22 minutes. So how can you get people back in the building when they're only in session for 12 minutes and 22 minutes, respectively?
My answer is to be like the Serbian parliament. Give everybody tomatoes to throw at each other. That's the only way we can get through this.
All right. Anything else on your plate here?
Yeah, well, I'd like to give a shout out to the U.S. Attorney of Massachusetts, Leah Foley. She's done more combating not only illegal immigrant crime, but crime in general in Massachusetts. She's been a whirlwind doing a terrific job. And she's had absolutely no help from any of the state agencies, not the Attorney General, not the DAs or anybody. But she's done a hell of a job. So that's just a shout out for her.
Yeah. And now I think another thing that Mayor Wu said during her appearance before Congress, she chastised Tom Homan, who's the head of Homeland Security, saying that he was going to bring hell to Boston when he came in with his ICE patrol. And she says, well, we'll bring hell to Tom Homan.
Why would you poke a raging bull?
Yeah.
I mean, why?
Yeah, yeah. And especially with a U.S. attorney here who now seems very motivated to doing her job. So I don't know. But the quote of the week, I got this quote of the week, and I want you to tell me who said this. Okay. This was in an op-ed that appeared in the Washington Post, last week. The Democrat Party has been blind to the rising sea of disillusionment. In today's America, aspiration and ambition have been supplanted by anger and animosity. Talk about missing the moment. Now, this was from a prominent Democrat.
Former mayor of Chicago.
Peter, you read the papers, don't you?
Former mayor. I write for the papers.
That's
too.
right. So who wrote this in the Washington Post?
Ron
Raul. Yeah, former Obama chief of staff, Raul Emanuel.
Raul Emanuel, and former mayor of Chicago, which is very interesting.
Yes. Do you think he's got any ambition to maybe jump into the 2028 race, writing things like this?
It's wide open. Why not? Wide open.
Yeah.
They need a sensible, moderate candidate to save this party from the path it's on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. Keep that name in your memory banks there, because I think Rahm is starting to heat up. And for him to write a Washington Post op-ed criticizing the Democratic Party.
My last words would be to the women who are protesting everything. I would just amend what Karl Marx once said: "Women of the world, unite. You've got nothing to lose but your chains. You have a world to gain."
Very good. Well, on that, I guess we'll see you next week. So read Peter Lucas's column in the Boston Herald. It runs 3 times a week. And Peter, have a good week.
Terrific. Thank you.
Peace.